Pablo Escobar was the son of a poor Colombian farmer, but by the time he was 35, he was one of the world's wealthiest men. But how exactly did the notorious drug lord spend his billions? From his lavish lifestyle to his ingenious trafficking, we'll be going through a day in El Patron's life. So keep watching because you're in for a surprise. Escobar began his criminal career as a teenager, the son of a farmer and a schoolteacher. His first illicit operation, according to some claims, was selling fake degrees. He went on to fabricate report cards, smuggle stereo equipment, and steal gravestones to resell. Escobar was also a car thief, and it was for this crime that he was arrested for the first time in 1974. He became a well-known drug smuggler soon after, and by the mid-1970s, he had helped form the crime syndicate that would eventually become the Medellin cartel. El Patron made an estimated $420 million per week, making him one of the richest drug lords in history. While it's impossible to verify Escobar's riches due to the nature of the drug money, estimations range as high as $30 billion. The Medellin cartel controlled the cocaine trade at its peak, earning an estimated $420 million per week and making its boss one of the world's wealthiest people. From 1987 through 1993, Escobar was on Forbes' list of foreign billionaires for 7 years in a row. He was ranked as the world's 9th richest man in 1989. Private planes, opulent houses, and extravagant events were all part of his wealthy lifestyle. He reportedly promised to pay off his country's $10 billion debt in exchange for being free from any extradition treaties in the late 1980s. In addition, Escobar is said to have burned $2 million to keep his daughter warm when his family was on the run in 1992-93. Despite his best efforts, Escobar was unable to spend the entire sum of his huge wealth, and much of it was stashed in warehouses and fields. According to his brother, around 10%, or $2.1 billion, was written off each year due to rodents eating it or the environment destroying it. In some cases, it was simply lost. Escobar owned a variety of fancy houses, but his most famous was the 7,000-acre Hacienda Napoles, named after Naples, Italy, which was located halfway between Bogota and Medellin. It included a soccer field, dinosaur statues, artificial lakes, a bullfighting arena, the charred ruins of a classic car collection destroyed by a rival cartel, an airstrip, a tennis court, and even a whole zoo. It was said to have cost a mind-blowing $63 million. Locals stole the estate, which is now a major tourist site, and the front gate is topped by a plane he used on his first heroin run to the United States. When he wasn't working, Pablo Escobar was a dedicated family guy who married his wife, Maria Victoria Henao, when he was 26 years old and she was just 15 years old. Although Escobar was capable of extreme brutality, he was reportedly very gentle with his children. He spent time with them and entertained them on his legendary Hacienda Napoles property, which was actually designed for children to enjoy. This included having his own zoo in the property, to the great delight of his children, we assume. Escobar had 200 animals in his private zoo, including elephants, ostriches, zebras, camels, and giraffes. Many of the animals were brought into the country illegally by Escobar's cocaine flights. The majority of the creatures were sent to zoos after his death in 1993. 4 hippopotamuses, however, were left behind. They quickly grew in number, with upwards of 40 of the animals living in the region by 2016. The potentially violent creatures have wreaked havoc on crops and frightened residents. In order to manage the population, authorities began castrating male hippos. Perhaps in an attempt to gain the favor of ordinary Colombians, Escobar became recognized for his charitable acts, earning him the moniker Robin Hood. He constructed hospitals, stadiums, and low-income housing. He even supported local soccer clubs as a sponsor. In 1982, he was voted to an alternate seat in Colombia's Congress, demonstrating his popularity among Colombians. Unfortunately, after a campaign to uncover his illicit actions, he was forced to resign 2 years later. The attempts were directed by the Justice Minister, who was killed. Escobar's problem-solving strategy was plato o plomo, which translates to silver, bribes, or lead, bullets. While he favored the former, he had no reservations about pursuing the latter, establishing a reputation for brutality in the process. He's said to have slain around 4,000 individuals, many of whom were police officers and government officials. The cartel was accused of planting a bomb on a plane carrying a suspected informant in 1989. A total of 100 people were killed. Pablo Escobar began constructing his cocaine enterprise in 1975. Initially, he flew supplies between Colombia and Panama himself in order to sneak them into the United States. Escobar eventually accumulated a large fleet of planes and helicopters, including a Learjet. Pablo Escobar allegedly smuggled cocaine in plane tires, and a pilot could earn up to $500,000 depending on how much he hid. Another method involved soaking pants in liquid cocaine and shipping them legally to the United States, where the cocaine was extracted once they arrived. The Medellin cartel, commanded by Pablo Escobar, smuggled 15 tons of cocaine per day into the United States at its peak. That's about the same weight as 2 African elephants. Escobar's prominence grew to the point where he was dubbed the King of Cocaine. Escobar was also known as Don Pablo, or Lord Pablo, El Padrino, the Godfather, El Patron, the Boss, El Señor, the Lord, El Mágico, the Magician, El Pablito, Little Pablo, and El Zar de la Cocaína, the Czar of Cocaine. In 1991, Escobar offered to hand himself over to police in exchange for the ability to construct his own prison. Colombian officials agreed, perhaps unexpectedly, or perhaps not. As a result, the opulent La Cathedral was born. There was a nightclub, a sauna, a waterfall, and a soccer field, but there were also telephones, computers, and fax machines. Officials chose to relocate Escobar to a less accommodating prison after he tortured and killed 2 cartel members in La Cathedral. Escobar, however, escaped in July 1992 before he could be moved. In the book, P describes the prison as very much what we suspected, a country club stocked with luxurious stuff like state-of-the-art televisions, freezers, and stereo equipment. Escobar never stayed in the same place for more than 2 nights at a time. This includes his own cell in prison. He threw parties in the nearby cottages and slept in each one alternately. With planters, hanging baskets, and plush furniture and draperies, they were all tastefully decorated. The homicidal kingpin was reportedly picky about where he performed his business. Escobar had a fondness for immaculate, well-proportioned bathrooms, and police always found a curiously shining bathroom with brand new fixtures whenever they raided a safe house that he utilized. His workplace and bedroom were both remarkably clean, speaking volumes about how organized the drug lord was. That's a wrap for this video. What facet of the King of Cocaine's life interested you the most? And were you surprised by any of his interesting habits? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one. Thank you.